Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today is the day I'm going to expose, hopefully, roots on my Ficus microcarpa. Almost 2 months ago, I cut the aerial roots down to a stump and then I covered it with bonsai soil in this pot, and hoping that it grows fine roots from all those cut points. Today's the day I'll find out. Here is a look at the tree today. So it's growing with a lot of vigor, which I'm hoping that's because aerial roots are growing in the pot down here. So today could go a few ways. Best case scenario, I could get exactly what I want, is all kinds of fine roots coming off of those stubs left over from the aerial roots. Worst case scenario is that the stubs have just kind of calloused over and no aerial roots have happened at all. And somewhere in between, maybe the roots have started to grow, but they're not really doing too much. So I think those are the three possibilities. I'll either be very happy or very sad or somewhere in between. I think this will be quite a messy operation. Once I remove this pot I've put together, I think all the soil is going to crumble down. So I've got my tray to catch the soil. So my first step, I'll peel away the tuck tape. That's kind of holding the pot together. It's quite possible too that the soil is very dry at the bottom. I've tried to keep it wet as much as I can, but it was hard to get in here. So there's one strip of it off. I think I'll just have to cut this. I think it'd be very hard to peel all the way up. So here I go. Try and cut it. Okay. So here goes step number one, taking the plastic pot away. So I'll take that outside, put it on the bench. Here is a look at what I have. Now I do see roots coming from this one stub here, coming down, and they look to be about this long. So I'm going to get my root rake and try combing out the soil. I can always kind of repack it if I need to. One of the reasons I didn't want to leave it all summer is if the roots were growing, a really crazy direction. I don't want to develop thick roots that just aren't going the right direction. And also, when they're young like this, they're flexible and I can position them. If they toughen up too much, it gets hard to move them into position, and I may not get a nice flow to the roots. Alright, here I go. I'm going to begin the combing. And I'll see exactly what I have in here. Good or bad. See, there's one root here that's going kind of sideways. If that thickened up, I would have to probably prune it away rather than have enough flexibility to reposition it. Well, there's definitely some roots in here so far. The soil's a little dry at the bottom, but it's pretty good for most of it. So this root's wrapping around. I'm just trying to untangle it. There I go. So I can comb it down vertically. My other fear is that these stubs from the aerial roots would just callus over, and that these roots are from the trunk line, which also wouldn't be a good situation. Well, there are definitely roots happening here. So that's a sigh of relief for me. Yeah, something's working. But I'm still not sure to what extent I'm successful. This root's looking quite good. The one over here is looking quite good. Let's hope all the others are following suit. So we'll just spin the tree around a bit and start on the back side here. Which, I'm just trying to see, this is actually the front of the tree here. So that was all the back side. So I'm combing a lot of roots here that were kind of twisted and crossing. Now I think I'll wet down the surface also. Keep those roots nice and moist. So you can see the roots are kind of bulging out. So I want to get them flowing. So that's one of the reasons I'm removing all this soil, and then I can position them a little tighter to the trunk line. Well, there certainly is lots of roots in here. They're very fine, but there is lots of them. It's good to see. It's a bit of a relief. So I don't want, a hairy trunk where the trunk is just all aerial roots. I want to see the original trunk line and have the aerial roots as kind of accent to it, or kind of complementing it, not taking it over. Combing these roots out like hair. Not my hair, but someone's hair. At the moment it looks more like my hair, all tangled and terrible. So this is the aerial root that was hanging in the air, and it's got lots of good roots coming off of it. I think every one of the stubs has rooted, which is good to see. I'm getting down to the actual root base of the tree down here. Looking pretty good. It's what I wanted. Nice when things work out. Now I'm going to have to start collecting some of this soil before it starts spilling everywhere. So I'll do a little cleanup, and then I'll come back and continue raking the roots, and I'll also make sure they're all staying wet. I don't want them drying up. Luckily it's really humid and warm in the greenhouse here, so it's pretty good conditions to be doing this in. It's like almost 40 degrees Celsius in here, and very, very humid. My 62nd birthday is coming up soon on July 4th, and I couldn't ask for a better birthday present than these roots. So I've got them all kind of combed out. So here's a look at them. Lots of fine aerial roots all around the trunk. I think my tree has dreads. You can see, you can kind of separate each root. Kind of arrange them exactly where you want them. Yeah, so that worked out really well. It was a very nerve-wracking operation doing this, but I'm glad it worked out. I think it's going to, just improve this tree a lot in the future. So my next operation is to maybe do a little thinning and arranging. You can see how you can arrange each root mass separately. So I don't know. If I kept them all, as I said, it would overpower the main trunk. There's so many of them. Like you can't even see the trunk hardly. There's some nice roots below these aerial roots. So I think some selection is in order. Pruning off some of the ones that aren't so good, keeping the best ones, and then I'll have to repack it. I could repack it with bonsai soil or tin foil, plastic. Tough to decide. I have to keep the moisture in here somehow because most of the roots are like hit the ground here, so they would be okay. But there's a few still hanging in midair that, you know, I guess they've hit the ground too. I don't know. It's hard to say what I should do. If I should just kind of pack it around the base and let these upper parts develop and harden off. Well, I'll think about it. I am going to do some thinning of the aerial roots. On this root, there's one kind of sticking out sideways. It doesn't flow down with the existing root, so I'm going to take that one off like that. There's one on the inside I can take off. It's not the greatest looking either. Some of these ones out front, they're kind of covering up the trunk line. And I want the aerial roots to kind of frame the trunk. I don't really want any aerial roots, well, very few going down the middle of the trunk. So I think some of these ones on the inside of this one I'm going to take off, just to kind of thin it out a bit. Oh, I hear the ice cream truck. And I don't know about this one. Do I need that one? Maybe I do. It's always hard to decide what to keep here and what to prune away. Well, let's start on this aerial root here. There's, again, one on the inside here I can remove. Take that one away. There's one coming from way up here I'm going to remove also. It's kind of crossing the branch. These ones are kind of sticking out sideways again. They don't flow down, so I'm going to remove those. So quite a little bundle of roots there. Take those away. Keeping nice flow lines is important with aerial roots to make the tree look graceful. There's one in back here I'm going to remove. It's on the inside. It doesn't flow very nice. That one can come off also, wherever it went, right here. So there's quite a bundle of roots attached to that. There's one up here sticking out. Take that one away. The rest are pretty good as far as flow. You can see this doesn't reach the ground really. comes close, but I don't want to prune too many roots away because, as I said, there'll be some natural selection. I will prune. These fine roots are covering up another root below it here, so I'm going to prune those away. I don't want it too congested. I think that'll do for the root thinning. I better get some more water on them, keep them hydrated, and then I got to decide how I'm going to cover them up. To keep aerial roots alive, you only need the tip in the soil, and the part that's exposed to the air will get bark on it and toughen up. And so I'm thinking of just putting a mound of soil around the base of the tree, keeping it well watered, and then eventually I can just rake that soil away as the roots mature. I think that'll work quite nicely. So I can use the same soil. I've got lots of it. It's only 2 months old. It's fresh soil. So that's what I'll do. I'll arrange the roots, put soil around it, and let the roots harden off. Okay, so here I go. So I just have to make sure the roots are positioned where I want them. Those are looking good. And I'll put soil around the base. Soil is very wet. This one up the front, I just want it kind of hanging there like that, separated from the trunk. These ones are looking good. This one I could tighten it up a bit. Something like that. And aerial roots, once they go into the soil, they tend to tension themselves. They tighten up. So they kind of stretch. So that's looking good for the front. Now, this aerial root here, I want it hanging vertically. So put lots of soil around that. And I'm sure by the end of summer I can rake all this soil away. Should be a pretty good looking root base by then. So I'll just have to be really careful with the watering, that I keep all this soil moist, that it doesn't dry out. Which means I can't go away for the next couple of weeks. I've got to be here with my trees. I'm usually here with my trees anyway. Okay. And I'll just pile it up a little higher. Make sure all those roots are safely in the soil. Luckily it's in a big pot, so I can put lots of soil around the base of the tree without it falling out of the pot. I think that's going to do it. Sorry about my hand there. Maybe a little more over here. Just to kind of make sure everything's good. And it's all kind of buried. Okay, that is it. Let's give it a good water now. And then forget about it for another 2 months. So here I go with the water. So I'm not going to prune the top of the tree. If you want to grow roots, you just let the top of the tree grow wild, and that encourages root growth. If I were to prune the top of the tree, well, I'd slow down the root growth, and I don't want to do that. So one step at a time. Roots are first. After the roots will come the pruning of the top of the tree. So I think that'll keep all the roots alive and doing well. I'll put the tree on the floor of the greenhouse where it's a little cool, out of the direct sun, and should be good. That's where it was before, and it grew lots of roots. I'll spin the tree around so you can see it from all angles. So here it is, front view. right side. The back. The left-hand side. And back to the front. I did quite a risky operation on this tree, but looking back at it, maybe it wasn't so risky. The timing was good. I let the top of the tree grow and I kept it well watered. And I got the results I wanted, which is nice to see. A good birthday present for me. So there's lots more work to do in the root system. There'll be more root selection as they grow and mature. I'll be pruning off some and keeping others. And eventually I'll be styling the top of the tree once again. So that is it for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.